In my senior year of art school, I was at Chico State, and I had a girlfriend who came to visit from England because we were having this long distance relationship. We'd met during an overseas program, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful time in my life. And I remember she had come to visit with her grandma for some reason. I don't know if I'm remembering this right, but she'd come to visit with her grandma. And I was talking to her grandma, and she's like, "So, what are you going to do after graduation?" Her grandma was South African. "What are you going to do after graduation?" And I said, "I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to change the world." Because that was all I ever wanted to do. When I was a kid, I was a terrible student. I struggled through school, and I had a lot of reasons why school was challenging for me, not the least of which is that I was navigating something like really hard at home. And so I was struggling in school. But when I found art, it changed my life. That's one of the reasons art is so important. Art is so important because if I didn't have art as a kid, I don't know that I would be here, if I'm being totally, completely honest. Art gave me something that showed me that I had value in the world, that made me feel like there was something I could do that I couldn't explain how I was able to do it as well as I did. And art connected me with other people because we had other there were other kids in school who were also we were artists. And we were the kids who had our sketchbooks, and we were always going around drawing things, sometimes writing poems. I knew I was an artist. I just knew that that's who I was, and that's who I was meant to be in the world. And so when my girlfriend's grandma asked me that question, and I told her more confident than I'd ever said it before in my life, "I'm going to be an artist, and I'm going to change the world," because I knew the world was messed up. I didn't understand a whole lot about the world, but I knew it was really messed up. And for some reason, I just felt like the best way for me to have an impact, the impact I wanted to have on the world, was through being an artist. I just knew that in my body. I can't even explain it. And so that's why I went to art school, and I'm so grateful that I had parents who supported me in just going to art school and studying art, because while my parents didn't understand a whole lot about me, I love that they appreciated that I was good at art, that there was a calling there was something there. And so they supported me to go to art school. I'm so grateful. And so when I responded to her, "I want to be an artist. I'm going to change the world," she laughed at me. Like, "Oh, look at you, so immature. You're still in that phase where you think you're going to change the world." And maybe being South African was part of it. That's a hard culture to grow up in, and I can barely understand it. But there's a lot of difficult history to grow up as a South African, and you probably don't know what to think, and it's a culture that probably hardens you. I can't even begin to understand, what it was like to grow up in that culture under apartheid, and how that would affect your outlook. But that one little comment destroyed me. It was so heartbreaking. And so what did I do? I went into advertising. I got into advertising because it's like, I better find something serious to do. Yeah, that was just a childish dream to want to be an artist. God, I better grow up. I love this woman. I wanted to marry my girlfriend at the time. And so I thought, I better get serious. Gosh, being an artist, that was just a childish fantasy. I got to get serious. And so I got serious. I got into advertising. And I spent 15 years in advertising, and I actually had a blast. I loved the ad industry. It was a lot of fun. It was fun using my creativity in a job, getting to sit in brainstorms and learn graphic design and animation and be the guy who was hired to be creative. And I was getting paid a lot of money, $20 an hour, my first job. And then I started getting $30 an hour. And then I got up to like $50 an hour within a couple years. It was so much money. I couldn't even believe how much money it was. But it wasn't art. But other people were doing it. I loved the people I worked with. And I loved getting to have an impact in the world in my own unique way by creating campaigns for companies that went around the world. But after a certain point, I kind of burned out on it. I've been doing it for 15 years. And I started feeling like I want to make something, I want to create something of meaning, because I don't want to just get paid to be creative. That's fun, but what's it all adding up to? And so that's when I connected with the founder of Ring and got to start working on the Ring video doorbell and play a role in creating that. And for me, that was getting to create something of substance and of meaning and something that endured in the world, using everything I'd learned to help create a product that could change people's lives. And at the time, that was the most meaningful thing I could do, was help build something so complex that I had to learn new things every day about electrical engineering and product design and product development. And it was it was a joy again. I spent 7 years helping to create that product and learning so much, growing, becoming a leader and getting to hire people and build my own teams. And I loved that. It was so cool. And I'm so grateful to the founder of Ring for giving me that opportunity and trusting me, even though I'd never done anything like that before, and empowering me. And he empowered all of us to believe that you can do more than you think you can do. And you just got to take risks. You got to take chances. And you got to trust yourself. And then that position led me to Tesla, where I got to do something I never imagined I would have been able to do, which was be in charge of design for a massive company. I couldn't even believe it. It was insane. But they saw that what I had done, like to help Ring get to where they got to, was valuable. And I felt valuable for the first time in my life. I felt like I really have purpose. I really have purpose, and I'm here to do something meaningful and have an impact on the world on a scale that I've always dreamt was possible, but could never actualize before. And here I am. This is amazing. I helped create a company that got bought for $1 billion. And now I'm in charge of design at a $1 trillion company and having an impact on the world at scale. I mean, this is incredible. And using my skills to help foster the adoption of clean energy. It was amazing. But it wasn't art. This is episode 12 of my new show, The Designed Self. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching it this far. I know no one has any attention spans today, so I appreciate you hanging out with me, tuning in to maybe something more real. I think the key to where most of us want to be and what we want to do, key to happiness, fulfillment, and probably really having the impact that we came here to have, is through letting ourselves be led by our bodies, letting ourselves be led by our intuition. You know, that version of me as a kid that wanted to be an artist, that wasn't just a childish version of me. That was a version of me that knew deeply what I'm here for. And I distrusted that voice. I distrusted those parts of me because of voices of anxiety and insecurity and worry and conformity and pressure, the desire to fit in, the desire to impress others, the desire to feel secure, whatever that means. And so I think the path to what most of us want is letting ourselves trust that part of ourselves again and seeing how it might show up now, maybe later in life. Using midlife as an opportunity to learn to play again and express ourselves in new ways. The design self is about, the design self is about the idea that you can become someone new. And it's not about becoming someone that is not who you are. It's about stripping away the layers of how we've been sort of conditioned to show up and greet life so that we can show up as who we really are. And I think probably most of us don't know what that means. I always felt like there was another version of myself, but I didn't know how to become him. And now I'm learning that I don't have to know. I just have to stop pretending like I know. I think that's it. I think it's beautiful to accept that we don't have to know. And I feel much more at peace in my own life when I accept that I don't need to know how everything's going to come together. I don't need to know how I'm going to get through whatever I'm moving through. I don't need to know the path forward. I just need to trust that there is one, and that if I keep listening, that I'll find it. I think that's about it. The design self is about learning to trust yourself again. It's about learning to let the version of you that's wanting to come through your whole life emerge, knowing that it's not about forcing yourself into being a certain way. It's not about trying to convince yourself that you are something that you're not. It's about seeing all the ways that you've been conditioned to show up throughout your life, been conditioned to act in ways that aren't true to who you really are, and stripping away those layers and just learning to see yourself, learning to see what drives you so that you can discover what's on the other side. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. This has been episode 12 of The Designed Self, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 13.